so much for being here for the third episode of the Badass series. These are interviews with incredible women who are living their lives at a level that a lot of us aspire to, but they haven't had the easy road going down. They've gone through their trials and tribulations, so to speak, adversity, different things that have happened in their lives, as I like to call them, curveballs, and they overcome them and they continue to succeed, and they're not afraid to be out in the world living their dreams. And today I could not be more excited to introduce you to Kristen Perez, who is an esthetician, a business owner, a mom of three. That's just a little bit of the story, right, Kristen? I know you're going to be sharing a lot for us, and I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to connect with you.
Kristen and I actually met a few years ago, not knowing it until more recently after the last episode, episode number 2 with Teresa Brewer, who is a fellow business owner in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. Kristen reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have a story too, let's talk." And we met and we talked, and I was blown away by her story. I'm like, absolutely, you're a badass. We need to get you on the show. And today she's going to be able to share a whole bunch of those stories that have kind of taken her to where she is today. But then as I'm doing my own research, Kristen, I'm like, she did my eyebrows a few years ago. I've been in her salon, and I remember how she made me feel. And it was like I said to you, Kristen, you were so nurturing. You were so just kind of taking care, and it was so natural to you. And I walked out feeling like $1 million just because I got my eyebrows done, and I got them again yesterday by you. Yay. And I got a facial, and I really got a little pampering yesterday. So Kristen got my weekend off started really well. But really, you guys, I think a lot of times when we think of business owners and where women have come from and where they are today, sometimes we miss who they are, right? Like, what I'm really excited to share today with you is who Kristen is, because that really, you can look at somebody's resume, and you can look on LinkedIn, or you can look on their website, and you can see all these different pieces, but a lot of times we don't go to that backstory. And that's really my goal with this series. So Kristen, let me just start out with, how's business? We've kind of had this thing called a pandemic happening, and you're a business owner.
Business has been a challenge. And so I'd be lying if I said otherwise. Of course, we were shut down. The beauty industry has really taken a hit, and I'm not trying to dismiss other industries as well. But I'll speak to what I know. And we were not able to actually open our doors and perform not only what we offer on our service menu, but something that I absolutely love. I've never gone that long in my lifetime without being able to touch somebody. And so we were only allowed at the end of October to actually be able to perform our services and things like that. So for like a solid, 8 months or so, almost, we were completely shut down. So It's been tough. However, I will say that now, I think that the beauty in the Darling and the studio size and it being one-on-one, in hindsight, has really been the biggest blessing, because we have so much more control over sanitation, the cleanliness. We don't have areas where people can congregate in numbers. We don't have to worry about, people doing the 6 feet apart, because it is me and then my client.
What are the services that you offer?
So I offer a full list of facials, a full list of waxing, airbrush tanning, microblading for eyebrows. So all the yummy skincare treatments that you can find on any facial spa menu. I also do something that's called gua sha and herbal Thai poultice, which is a really fun service to have as well. We did have massage, and we will be bringing that back, but just due to the pandemic, we minimized it for now.
Okay. Yeah. And where you are right now, we are not going to reveal yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to tell you where Kristen is, because something is coming up that you might want to think of, in my opinion, for Valentine's Day. And that time, and spring is coming, and this 2021 is a new year. And where Kristen is, this was a huge opportunity for her. But I want to back up a little bit, Kristen, because when I met you, you were in a different salon in Phoenixville. And then now I'm with you meeting you now again in Phoenixville. But in that gap, the universe took you somewhere pretty fantastic. That was really exciting. Can you tell us why you left Phoenixville and why you came back?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I suppose at this point, I was approached with this opportunity to serve as a spa director on a private luxury island off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina, called Kiowa Island. And this spa was everything that you would ever aspire to want to be a part of. It completely captures you the moment that you walk up to it. And so they were really kind and generous, flew me down, and I interviewed, and it was myself and amongst about 85 other applicants, and they had offered me the position. And so, having an established business in Phoenixville at that point, I had Glow for about 9 years, and I felt really comfortable with the way that the business was stable, and I felt like it was something that I could do and step away and really have this experience that I've never had before, leaving home. Or, and Charleston is probably one of the dreamiest, most beautiful cities that you could ever encounter. And so, had a little family meeting, and everybody said, let's do it. And so I did. I took the position and lived down there for a few years. And as life happens, it brought me back home. So, which is where I belong. But everything that I learned on that journey and all the experience that I had in this facility was just huge, and it was beautiful. We sat out in the marsh every day. We would look at bald eagles and seabirds, and just the most amazing, beautiful nature, and the landscape was incredible. And so everything that I learned from that experience had been so different than some of the other experiences that I've had in the industry and even in my own entrepreneurship. And so just being able to really step out and learn so much more to be able to bring that back has really been, again, another like full circle moment for me.
What brought you back then? It was time to come home.
At the time, my husband had gotten an opportunity back here in the Philadelphia area. And so it just felt like the right thing to do. As much as that opportunity was such a blessing and I learned so much, and it sounds like the dream job for most, my dream job is and always will be owning my own facility and being able to do things my way and being able to have the full range of, branding, what the spa smells like, what it sounds like, what it, feels like, what's the vibe, the energy. And you don't have that when you're working under somebody else's vision. And that's where I've really felt detached as well. And I felt like I stepped out of my purpose. And so when that call came through to come back home, I knew that it was also for me.
You brought up that you had a great mentor early on, and you were telling me a story about when you worked in King of Prussia. Can you tell
Mm-hmm.
us, like, way back when, like, did you always want to be in skincare? Was that something that evolved? Like, start back that far.
Yes. So I got into school for skin when I was 19, 20 years old. I think I was 20. I definitely was between 19 and 20. And I I had a passion for it. I had this passion for making people feel good about themselves and being comfortable in our own skin. And that comes from the fact that, I shared this with you, that my father growing up had a severe case of psoriasis.
Mm.
And as a young girl, I would just tend to his skin. And I didn't know any different to think that there was something to his skin that was different than anybody else's. I just knew that, it was something that created a large insecurity in him. And so I would tend to his skin, areas that he couldn't reach, like the back of his legs. And it just became this thing that we would do. It's like a nightly routine. And then it sparked an interest in me. And I thought, okay, well, I could go to school to do this. And so that's what I did. And I was the most timid and shy student. I was petrified to put my hands on people. And my teacher would approach me and say to me, Kristen, you have X amount of facials that you have to do before you can graduate. And it was like a large number. It was like over 20 facials, and I had like no time to do it. And I was so scared. And so I did. And then I thought throughout going to skincare school, maybe I'll just go be a makeup artist. Maybe that's going to be something that I could really get into. And I felt like I was always really creative with it, and I was really comfortable with that. And so that's sort of what I did. I went and I started working for MAC in King of Prussia. And during that journey, I had a plastic surgeon come into my life. I met her right there on the fly. She came into the store. I complimented her outfit, and we got to talking. And she realized that I was a licensed esthetician. And, she was connected to a woman who owned her own spa and said, you need to come work with us. And I said, okay. So I went on working on Saturdays as a makeup artist. And then they realized I had a license, and then had me jump in to do skincare, and mentored me, conditioned me, For 7 years, I was with her, and she was like a second mother to me. I'm still really close with her. And then the doctor that I'm speaking of, the plastic surgeon, she's been with me my whole journey. She's come in and seen clients. She comes down from New York to do injectable services for our clients and things like that. And so both people are still very much in my life 21 years later that I've been an esthetician, and I've learned everything from these amazing women.
What was the fear about working with people's skin?
Because in Pennsylvania, we have such a minimal amount of hours that we need to actually become licensed. And it's one of the most minimal amongst the entire country. And especially if you get into like overseas, like their schooling for esthetician is so much more extensive. And I just feel so responsible that if something were to happen to your skin, a reaction or something. So I just felt so scared to essentially make a mistake.
Uh-huh.
So the best thing that I ever did was I didn't just stop at that education. Every single year, every year. This year has been hard because of the pandemic. However, it hasn't stopped me. But every year I do a continuing education class. No matter what. I don't have to. I'm not, nobody's putting pressure on me to do it. But education in this industry, it's ever changing. And so that is what I feel like gave me the confidence, was just learning more and saying, okay, and troubleshooting and knowing the skin types and really knowing the reactions that people could have, ingredients and contraindications. And that's where I ran with it. And then the more confidence I built in knowing what about skin, knowing about the muscle structure, bone structure, then I really was able to kind of come into my own. And I think that's what people love, is because when you come into a service with myself or even my staff, they know that education is absolutely everything. So you're not only going to just get a really great service, I'm probably going to teach you something about your own skin, about products that you're using or should be using. And so that's where I think that it's just led me to become this esthetician who, in some people's eyes, I think probably takes it too seriously. But I think that's also what's really set me apart and has been so great for the journey.
Yes. And it just seems like opportunity after opportunity after opportunity shows up for you. And it's like, if it's going to work or if it's not. I love your
Right.
intuition. Like, you trusting yourself is something that I got with every story that you shared with me, including what's coming up. And I'd love to like reveal, if you want to share with everybody, where you are and what this opportunity is that's coming
Absolutely.
up for you.
So
And for
I am actually sitting in the relaxation lounge of my newest location, and that is the spa at Applecross. And we have been selected to, I have been, had this amazing opportunity to place my own privately owned spa on this beautiful country club in Downingtown. And so I'm sitting in the lounge that we are currently full blown construction going on. We're doing a lot of decor today, which has been so fun because this concept, the color scheme and everything is so different from my other locations. So but it's really exciting and it's absolutely going to be beautiful. I cannot wait.
Do you want to give us a little tour of what's there, or do you want to keep it under wraps? Oh,
No.
okay. Okay.
How far would you like to, can I do like, yeah, I'll do a sneak
Whatever
peek.
you
I'll do
want.
area and then like a little shot of some of
Yeah.
the spots. It is still a little bit raw. Let me just flip my
Yeah,
camera around.
absolutely.
All right. So,
Colors.
yeah, the colors I went really bold and I'll get into that too. So, this is going to be our lounge. This is still not done. The light will be much dimmer in here, of course, like ambient music. Let me try to hold this a little bit still. So this is our lounge. And then right outside of the lounge is going to be our retail space in here. This room over to the side that's open, that's going to be our locker room. And we've got 2 separate bathrooms with showers, this beautiful pebbled floor. And then through this area here leads you into the spa, and that's where all of our treatment rooms are.
Oh my gosh. That is so exciting. And when will that be open?
We are going to be open our Valentine's Day weekend. Maybe a little bit sooner, but Valentine's Day weekend is going to be our goal.
That's fantastic. And you are the owner.
Just little old me.
Just little old you. And are you gonna, anybody else working there, or is it just you for now?
Oh yeah, this is like an entirely different animal here. So we have a nurse injector. She's amazing as well, and she is also somebody that my clientele is very familiar with. So we're gonna have medical services offered through her, so Botox, fillers, some heavier duty peels, and things like that. And then we're going to have a full list of massages, body treatments, facials, airbrush tanning. So essentially everything with the exception of hair and nails. So this spa is going to be a slightly different concept, a little bit more indulgent, and a place where you could really have multiple services and kind of kick away a little bit more of the day.
That is so great. Well, congratulations to you on
Thank
that. I think it's so fantastic. And, when I look at where people go to the next step, where I've been on my own journey, sometimes you look back and you reflect on who you were,
Yeah.
years ago, and the insecurities that we used to have and the fears that we had, and how much facing them and overcoming them and continuing to show up. Things haven't always been easy, right?
Not at all.
You've got 3 kids, and you were a young mom.
Yes, I was. I had my first son right before my 20th birthday.
And where is he now?
He's in the United States Navy and he is currently underwater on a sub. So I have no idea where in the world he is. I have no idea when he'll get home, but I'm extremely proud of him and the path that he's chosen. And I don't know where he gets the gumption to do what he does and walks into this life completely fearless. But again, he's a badass too. He makes me so proud.
You don't know where he got it. Well, where did you get it? Because how are you 19 years old with a son, single mom? Like, what gave you courage? What were you listening to, or who were the people in your life saying, "Go ahead, Kristen, go live your dream anyway. Like, this doesn't hold you
No one,
back."
no one. Everybody, I mean, everybody, and I get their perspective as well. At the time, told me essentially that, well, there goes the rest of your life. And that of all of my friends, they were all in college and they were going to Cancun for spring break, or, vacationing in the summer and having fun and going out for drinks on their 21st birthday. And I had a child on my hands, and so but that's the most motivating factor. It was the one thing that I don't do is somebody telling me what I can't do,
Wow.
because I show them wrong every single time. In fact, I had a local bank in Phoenixville when I was first opening my first spa, and they said to me verbatim, there's reasons why businesses like yours don't exist, and would not offer me any funding. And so fast forward 10 years later, and those reps were coming in soliciting my business for me to do my banking with them.
Oh my God.
Really, I had like this pretty woman moment, and I was like, big mistake, big, huge. Thank you. But then if you look at businesses like mine, Hand and Stone, Massage MV, European Wax Center, the idea was there way before those conglomerates, like taking skincare out of the actual day spa and just focusing on that. That wasn't something that was readily seen 10, 11 years ago when I first opened. And so, yeah, it was funny. But no, so going back to being, the young mom, I had no real options. And all I had was the negativity being told to me all the time about what I couldn't do, how many holdbacks I were going to have. And, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to do X, Y? How are you going to go to school? And then what are you going to do with him? And I figured it out. And that's, just what you have to do sometimes when you're faced with circumstances that, either you could just go and put your head in the sand and just take some 9-to-5 job that paid pretty well, or you could actually force through your adversities and just make something of the situation. So
Tell me this: when you share that story of being at Mac, how many years was that? That was in your 20s, right?
I
So,
was
so here
20.
you are. You were 21. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm just trying to do the math on how quickly, you get a curveball, right? Life's not exactly maybe how we planned, and then somebody walks into your life and changes your life 2 years later or so,
2
right?
years later, absolutely.
Because you were committed and you weren't going to give up. You were like, "I'll figure it out." Like, that's just, and that wasn't from like your mom or your dad or somebody. I mean, that's like coming from you. You didn't
Yeah,
have anybody. Uh-huh.
like I my mother was an entrepreneur as well. But she owned an insurance agency, and it was just never, she, as much as like I admired her ability to go out and open her own business, I didn't get any like drive from her where she wasn't, going out and mustering up the business and advertising and marketing and things like that. And I felt like that's what I would see sometimes and go, well, why aren't you chasing this? Well, why aren't you doing this avenue? And it was always like, well, how do you do that? Well, can you do it for me? And, here I am, because I worked for her here and there over the years and things like that. And then figuring those things out and just going, like, nobody's doing this for you. You have to do it. This is, your business. And so I just feel like that's where I started to really just figure things out with research and just going out there and getting it, and realistically, like, not taking no for an answer. There's always, I know it sounds so cliche to say that, whatever your mind can believe, it can achieve, but it's really the truth. And I feel like that's the only things that I let come into my brain are the ones that I nourish those thoughts, the thoughts of, why can't I do this? If not me, then who? Right. And why would I not be worthy of this? And of course I can do it. And that's what I feed, are those thoughts and that motivation. And I have every faith in like the power of the universe and manifestation and all of those things. And I know for sure that like positive thinking and positive self-talk is what has put me here. And I am a little ball of energy, so I'm sure that doesn't hurt.
No, I hear it's almost like you've got like you're in your DNA is this drive, that you're going to figure things out. And you've had enough evidence in your past to show success. So why wouldn't you succeed at this new opportunity or this new opportunity or the next one? And so, and who were some of your personal growth mentors, so to speak? I know, we were talking about that and music and reading, and who were some of the people that inspired you?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's so many people that inspire me that even I love anybody that's, that has, a really great story that has come up from something. I love anything like the music that I listen to is all very positive. Any of my friends that are going to watch this are going to be like reggae. Like I listen to things with really beautiful, positive, you know, um, lyrics. I listen to a lot of like indie folk music as well. Obviously, like I'm always in the spa music. So like heavily, meditative music. I love, anybody that's like a positive influence. I do follow like Dr. Wayne Dyer. We were talking about him. I also like, there's a woman that I listen to on a podcast called Jessica Butts, and she's like a Myers-Briggs expert. And so she really goes into like personality types. So anything that I feel like it has to have a little bit of grit to it, like a little bit of truth, like, not somebody who probably came from a lot of opportunity, but made it for themselves. Like that's always what inspires me, but also I don't ever watch television. I don't watch the news. I don't get into, I don't like anything that causes unrest in me or the need to debate or anything. I just try to keep everything really, really light, really loving, and if my kids are having a bad day, say to them, put some gratitude on it, or, just take a deep breath and get centered. And just, that's how I try to focus everything. And just anybody that can inspire and pull that out of me and keep me in that state of mind, that's my people.
Yeah, and I was listening to some of the music you sent me this
Oh,
thing. I was able, oh my gosh, I loved it. It was so good. Tell me the man's name. Is it
Knockout.
Nakano?
Yeah,
Not
Knockout
okay.
people. They're a good one. I like that band a lot. Stat Sang is another one I like. He's got really good messages. Like, yeah, anything that just, triggers up an emotion or a feeling or something that you can kind of click with. That's what I like to listen to. So I don't really do mainstream media. I don't do like mainstream radio. I always have my own music on somewhere.
I love the ownership you have over that's very important to you.
It is
Um,
very.
and so, one of the other curveballs you talked about was an unexpected divorce where, in the last year or two. I mean, that's pretty recent. And I'm looking at you going like, she's got this. Like, you seem like you're just like, we're going to move through this. We're going to get through it. There'll be some rough spots, but we're going to keep going. And look, here you are sitting in a new salon that you
Yeah.
own.
That's, I did a really big, I did a really lengthy gratitude post yesterday,
Mhm.
and, and I could have doubled that post with the adversities that I faced this year. I could have absolutely listed out a million things that have been hard, troubling, heartbreaking, traumatizing, and it's just like you just sometimes have to shift your focus. So, yes, it was an unexpected divorce and it was extremely painful and confusing. And I had no idea how I was going to do anything at all, whether it be the next day or the next month. And I just was, again, sometimes you just figure things out on the fly. And having that happen, in some ways it happened, well, of course everything happens for you, nothing happens to you. And so at the time it was really hard to realize that, but he and I were in a great place, and his life is in a great place, my life is in a great place. And so at the end of this, I mean, it was about 14 months ago, I suppose, when everything, like, kind of really fell apart, but it really gave me the opportunity to have a lot of other things fall together.
Yeah. That is so great when you look at that and see that, those things are for us, and for us to get more out of life in a way. I'm happy to hear that you guys are in a good place and that
Yeah.
everybody's doing okay. Tell us about your kids. Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Absolutely. So, of course, I have Hunter, who is 21 years old. He's in the Navy. And then I have Tristan, who is 8 years old, and he's the most delicious little freckled, redhead, green eyed little baby. Like, you just want to see the kindest soul. He loves to do anything with Transformers, build, dance. He listens to all the same music I do. And then 2 years ago, I was awarded full custody of my niece, who has always been extremely close and well threaded into my family. And so she's with me full time. And so, yeah, she's like this earthy hippie mama, won trendsetter award at her school. She's my concert buddy. She is my Starbucks run partner. Like,
Oh my
you know,
God.
so yeah, all good things. So I, by far am so blessed that I have these three little superhumans that I get to parent and, hang out with and have, like, you know, all like little friends around me. But at the same time, they're my kids.
Amazing, amazing mom. I think that's so
Yay.
fantastic. And what a role model you are, like, for them to see you hustle, and just keep driving and having fun doing it. I know there are a lot of kids out there looking at their parents hustle, but the parents aren't having so much fun hustling,
Right.
And here
Yeah.
you are loving your craft and, like, just taking care of people and just nurturing and nourishing and growing yourself along the way. Like, I mean, that's like a win 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 win, and then your kids get to see that too, which I think is so awesome.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one more question. I'll ask you a final question, and then we can tell everybody where they can reach out to you, contact you, stay informed of everything that's happening with the new. Where do you see yourself? And I almost don't want to ask this question, Kristen, because I think you're in such a good place. And so many times we forget to be here now and just eat this moment and just devour what's in front of us. And me included, or me especially, I'm very future oriented, and I really, through this pandemic, have really gotten back into what matters now is, and all I have is the present. So I love that you're in your new salon, and that's the present, right? The darling is the present. But if I were to ask you, and I know we talked about kind of endeavors, future endeavors, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in these next few years? 5 years isn't all that long, but you have some aspirations. Where do you see yourself?
See myself happy. I see myself successful. I see myself with a skincare line. I see myself with two, at least, thriving businesses. And eventually, and I don't know if it'll be within the 5 years, but it could be. I see myself being an author. That's something I've always wanted to do. So between having a makeup line and writing a book, maybe I'll do it in 3. Sounds good. No.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Or 10 or 15, whatever it is. But that's your vision. Your
Yeah.
vision is so clear to you. Kristen, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic opening at Applecross. I think that's so great. I will see you again at the Darling, and I'll visit Applecross. And if anybody wants to connect with Kristen, I'll have the information here at the end. So thank you, my dear. Have a great rest of your weekend.
So much. You too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Visit the Darling Skin Studio in Phoenixville and visit the spa at Applecross in Downingtown. Follow them both on Facebook and Instagram. Stay tuned for the next episode in the Badass series.